What's up, YouTube? It's Josh Creates here with another video. In today's video, we have TikTok vents about the silent depression that we are secretly in. But before we get right into it, I just want to say thank you guys for the love, support, and motivation from each and every one of you. We reached 1,000 subscribers. Congrats to you guys and congrats to me. I couldn't have done it without you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into it.
We are in a silent depression. When you compare the Great Depression to today, this is going to absolutely blow your mind. In 1930, during the Great Depression, the average home in America was $3,900. The average car was $600, and the average monthly rent was $18 or $216 a year, and the average salary was $1,300 for the year. Fast forward to today, it is $436,000 for the average home, $48,000 for the average car, and the average rent is $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year, and we have a $56,000 income for the average American right now. So if you look back to the Great Depression, the house was only 3 times the average salary. Now it is 8 times the average salary. The car was 46% of the salary. The car today is 85% of the salary. Yikes. And here's the craziest part. The rent was 16% of the average salary. It is now 42% of the average salary.
That's crazy. Here's my thoughts and opinions on how it's a different time from 1930 and how the economy changed from 1930 to today's time, 2023. I think that the reason why prices is different from 1930 to now is because, of course, things are getting more brand new. We have to import things from different countries. And not only that, in the US, we are letting in so many immigrants, and the country is getting full. It's basically getting filled up because back in the 1930s, you could get a house on a prairie and have land or acres around you. Now it's like more cities are being built, more civilization, more houses are being built, more apartments, condos are being built compared to 1930. So it's like the immigrants are low-key making the everything rise. We are not just It's not just immigrants from Mexico or Caribbean islands or South America. It's all over the world, guys. And that's, in my opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why everything's just gone up. More people come into the US. Let's raise the prices because they should have the money to buy these things. It's more in demand now that more people are here. So that's one of the reasons why I think there's a price jump, an economy jump from 1930 to 2023 today.
Do y'all see this shit? Do you see that? $60.64. Do you see that? Do you see what I got? Some hot dogs. Boom. Milk. Boom.
Ew.
Some wipes for my ass. Some baked beans. What's really going on? Sugar. Okay?
What we doing? Why we talking about baked beans?
Why you in my video? Now I gotta start over. You always in something. Shut up. This really hurts my feelings, y'all. Look at this. This says Publix, okay? Publix, okay, yeah, I know Publix is expensive, but it's across the street from my house, and I'm not going around the world so I can go get some better prices. I'm just not finna do it, okay? It's across the street. But anyways, look at this. Hot dogs, $10.99. Milk, $4.59. Dude wipes for my ass, $9.99 for something I'm going to flush down the toilet. Okay, $7.65 for some broccoli, some baked beans, $2.99 a can, some sugar for $3.49, and some potatoes for dinner tomorrow. That's the real insane one. $11.22 for 6 potatoes. fucking potatoes. Okay? This is ridiculous. So yeah, when is this uproar going? What are you doing? It's not live. When are we gonna like resist? Okay? When are we gonna like cut a fool? Okay? Like really? Like when are we gonna quote unquote what you called it earlier? Paint the town red. When the hell is we gonna paint the town red? Because this don't make no motherfucking sense. This don't make no fucking sense. $60 for this. $60.
Crazy.
$60. $60. $60. Okay. Look at this. This is what I got. Look at this.
Okay, that ending part was kind of weird, but honestly, if you live in Florida, we have Publix, right? Publix, I am very fearful of Publix because of that same reason. I remember I went to Publix and I got three things, small items, mostly fruits, and maybe one pricey item, but it did not have to come up to $25. And that's one of the reasons why I really dodge Publix so bad. Like I could get something I may need something from Publix, but I just dodge it so bad. I'm there like, I don't really need it. Or I'll make sure I just need one thing because dog, Publix tax like crazy. But let's continue.
Silent depression is hitting millennials hard. As many as 1 in 4 millennials moved back in with their parents in the last year. And of those 18 million, just about 50% of them did it to save money. Not hard to believe, given that rents have gone up close to 20 and 30% in some markets, interest rates doubled in the last 2 years, and housing prices have soared. Not so keen on moving back in with mom and dad, and you want to buy that first home, these are some numbers you want to check out. The U.S. median housing price is coming in at $416,000. Average 30-year mortgage rates are floating in the low to mid sevens. Ownership is one of the things that you're interested in. You're going to want to take a look at the numbers below. To buy the median price home, a $416,000 home, if you're taking advantage of a low down payment loan, you're going to want to see roughly $108,000 income. Happen to have a big savings or money in a retirement account or a family member that can gift you a bigger down payment, then with 20% down, you could get away with doing it at just an $86,000 a year income. Fortunately for many, the U.S. median household income is not at $108,000. It's not at $86,000. In fact, it came in at $74,500. If your income's closer to that $74,000 range, then you're going to want to focus on one of these ugly homes that I've talked about so much. With a $74,000 a year income, taking advantage of a low down payment loan, that's going to buy you somewhere in the range of a $280,000 home. If you've got that closer to this median income, but you've got a lot of money stacked aside, say somewhere around $70,000, then you could afford something closer to $350,000.
If you
Just
live in
don't do it.
America, I'm about to show you something very shocking. And quite frankly, every single one of us Americans is feeling this right now, especially if you have a family. But this video right here will let you know what time we are living in and how bad things have gotten. The cost of living is through the roof. And here's why. Check this out.
All right, I've seen 2 videos in the last week talking about the same thing, and they're on point, but they're forgetting one big fact. So I'm going to cover this right now. This is what a lot of people don't realize. Almost everybody I know realizes that life is more expensive now, and that all of us are being outpaced by the cost of living. The cost of living has been skyrocketing for the last 20 years at least, and the rate of pay and salaries, basically our compensation has not been keeping up with it, not even close. So all of us know this. Back in 2006, 2007, 2008, we went through that whole thing, and I remember how crazy the inflation felt. And I remember seeing a speech by Ron Paul talking about how it's not really the goods getting more expensive, it's just it takes more of our dollars because our money is becoming less valuable. That is true. All right, now, little fact. Here's a fact you may not know, maybe you do know this. The Great Depression Okay, if you go back to 1930, 1933, that period, it was considered to be economically the worst time in the United States history. It was the time when everybody struggled. People were, eating rodents on the street. And if you go and do your math, you figure out that during the Great Depression, 1933, I think, was the worst year. If you take what the average income, 25% of the workforce was out of work, the unemployment rate, 25%. It's pretty high. But the people who were employed, the average income was between $3,000 and $4,000. That's a real number. Now, if you take that number, $3,000 or $4,000, go with whichever number you want, and you adjust that for inflation and cost of living to today's money, and it comes in right around between $88,000 and $93,000.
Crazy.
Back in the Great Depression, people were struggling and starving because they were only making $80,000 or $90,000. Like, really let that sink in for a second. So now those two videos that I saw have said that. Okay, and that's a real thing. I get it. One of them said like $3,300, and the other guy said $4,000. But anyway, it's between $3,000 and $4,000. But here's what they forgot to mention. You know what they didn't have in 1933? All of the taxes and fees that have been piled on top of us over all these years, in the last 70 years. You guys know what I'm talking about, okay? We've got thousands of taxes that we're paying now. We've got gas tax, cigarette tax, soda pop tax, you name it. They didn't have that back then. If you just look at statistics, you're going to also find out that they added on income tax and payroll tax. Those are two new giant taxes. The taxes skyrocketed right after the Great Depression, and it compounded by 3 once payroll tax and income tax got added to that. So they basically tripled our tax, and ever since then they've been printing money like crazy, which is making all of our money less valuable, which is causing a bigger problem. Okay? Wow. So not only would we need $80,000 or $90,000 a year right now in order to match what people were struggling with during the Great Depression, but right now we would probably need double or triple that to make up for all the taxes that we're paying. Okay? All right, now it gets even crazier, because if you guys haven't noticed a trend, and I'm going to end on this note, there's a little stupid trick that our government is doing now, and you guys should be aware of it. We should be paying attention to it, and we should be screaming about this.
What's the trick?
The government has figured out that, okay, taxes are hard. Why? Because no taxation without representation. We have to vote on and approve taxes. You know what we don't have to vote on or approve? Fees. And they have figured out that if they just call something a fee, it's not a tax, and they can just make it up and charge it to us. Stop and think about all of the fees that you're being forced to pay. Now, I'm going to call bullshit on that. A fee is something that is a choice. I don't think that there should be any mandatory fees, because a mandatory fee is a tax. So I'm just going to call bullshit on that. And I think awareness is the first step. I think all of us need to be aware of what's happening, and speaking out against this is going to be the next step. Taking our government to task on this stuff. The transparency needs to be there, and accountability needs to be there. And these politicians that are getting elected that aren't actually doing anything to fix this problem, they need to be held accountable. I'm going to end on that note for this video.
Shout out to that guy. And he's right what he said at the end. These politicians, like, they're just doing nothing, worrying about the wrong things, sending money to a different country, and not worrying about the U.S. He's right about those fees, though. I have been noticing that companies, and whenever you want to buy something, they are adding fees, a lot of fees. That's something to think about.
I'm sure you've been bombarded with a bunch of non-educated know-it-alls saying that we are in a silent depression. Well, here I am debunking that. It now takes about 5.4 years of your annual salary to be able to afford a house, and people are pointing that like, oh, well, look at that, we're all screwed. Houses are getting ridiculously expensive because there is a shortage of houses on the market. When there is a really bad economic catastrophe, like the Great Recession in 2008, housing inventories skyrocket like they did during the Great Recession. But you could see right here, housing inventories are very low because there is still such a demand for them. Another fun fact about about the Great Depression compared to now. The average home size around that time was between 742 to 1,200 square feet. In 2023, the average home size is 2,400 square feet. So we're talking a 200% increase in house sizes. And then you have this crazy statistic of more young people living with their parents than they did during the Great Depression. But the bulk of that demographic are college-age kids, people age 18 to 24. Keep in mind, kids are a lot softer today than they were in the Great Depression. Age 18 to 24, back in the Great Depression, that's when you got married and started a family. The most nonsensical claim by far was that in the Great Depression, the average wage was about $4,000 to $5,000 a year, which totals to be about $85,000 to $90,000 today. The average wage of the American worker in 1933, which was by far the worst year of the Great Depression, fell by 42.5% to $821. That $821 a year that the average American earned in 1933 is equivalent to $18,600 a year. Do you think you could live off of $18,600 a year? Nah. Unemployment during the Great Depression rose to 25%. Our official unemployment numbers are 3.8%, but I don't go by that. I go by the civilian labor force participation rate. Now, when COVID hit, the labor force participation rate dropped by about 2%. That's quite a bit, but it's actually been recovering. Jobs are actually growing in the market.
True.
That's not what happens during a depression. Let's talk about bankruptcies. When there is a major economic crisis, bankruptcies skyrocket. This is a chart of bankruptcies in the US since 1980, and you could see they shot up during the Great Recession, but boom, we're actually near an all-time low. Another thing to look at are delinquency rates for loans. When we're in bad economic times, delinquency rates rise. Now, this chart shows delinquency rates since the 2000s, and you could see during the Great Recession, around 2008 right here, they shot up. But where are we? We're actually at our all-time low for loan delinquencies. Now, I'm not saying times are great or even good, but they are nowhere near as bad as a depression.
We are in a silent depression. It is
Everybody says that money comes and goes, but mine is just going. Like, mine isn't coming back. When is that happening? When does it return? Because mine is just leaving. Mine is just going and not looking back.
Everybody keeps talking about this silent depression where I'm not gonna be silent about it any fucking more. What in the fuck is going on? Why do I have to work 12 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and can barely make ends meet? This is fucking insane. How are we not infuriated by it? How are we not fucking talking about this? Like, something has gotta fucking give. I'm so over it. I cannot wait until the crumble of fucking America, because it's been about 150, 200 years, I think. Anyway, I'm not good at history, but should be the downfall of America soon. Hopefully I can live through it and then come out the other side, because I'm over this.
What? I learned a lot in this video, in this compilation. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to be honest, but dog, what was that guy name? The second guy. No, the guy in the car that was explaining the fees and taxes. He was spitting facts, dog. I learned a lot. I really learned things that I didn't even know. I didn't even know that, dog. That's crazy. No wonder it's hitting now. Oh my god, it's hitting my brain now. Oh my god. And that other guy was explaining how we can't compare the depression that we were in, like in the 1930s or something like that, or the Great Recession. I don't know. I guess it's different modern times, and different things have to like no, different things are different from things back in the 1930s, I guess. 1933 was like the Great Depression. And of course it's going to be more expensive. Of course things are going to be like a car is going to be more expensive than like an older car from today. And of course, but the thing is, it's not like it's not getting even. For example, you've seen so many of these videos where people will be like, "Oh, things are rising, house, gas, rent, but our wage is not." This is what we're like frustrated about. It's like, how are you guys not seeing this? Everything is rising except our wage. The main thing that we need to afford all these things, afford rent, afford gas, afford groceries, and all these things, then it won't be no problem. Then you have to spiral back into like what I said earlier about, the US opening their borders and having immigrants come and like, live. And that could raise everything up, make everything rise, because hey, more people, more consumers, um they'll most likely be able to buy. If everything was like how it was back in like pre-pandemic, and everything was like, and every almost, I'm tired, guys, bear with me, and the amount of immigrants coming to the country, dog, everybody would be able to afford anything. And this is what they don't want. They still want us to suffer some way, somehow. But hope you guys understand. If not, comment down below what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We hit 1,000 subscribers. Road to 2K subscribers. My name is Josh Crate. I'm out.